Welcome back, everyone, to BBB Sharing. I'm Evie, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB. We are here yet again in the Ignite, sparked by BBB podcast studio, and I have a very, very wonderful woman here with me today, and she does something very unique and interesting, which I think you all need to hear about. I have Marie Malvoisin in here. She is the owner of Bohemian Visions. Marie, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So please tell me what Bohemian Visions is.
Bohemian Visions is a luxury boudoir photography studio and gallery. I have to throw in the gallery because it's just this vision that I had when I wanted my own brick and mortar to showcase art that otherwise is a little too spicy for social media and Google.
So I saw a little bit of your photography and your portfolio on your website, and it is utterly gorgeous. Your vision is amazing. It's
Thank
very
you.
unique. And I do want you to talk about your studio because you do most of your photography in there, right?
Yes, 100% of it. Yes.
So what was your vision with your studio? What brought you to create it the way that you did?
Oh my God, it was 5 years in the making. So before I had the studio, yes, I was lugging around a 100-pound body bag. It's literally a body bag, and it had all of my equipment. And every time I did a photo shoot, and I had to drag that bag, I was like, I want my own studio. I want my own studio. From the time that I started my business, I wanted the own studio. And so it was inspiration pulled from other photographers' studio, Pinterest. Pinterest was like the base right there.
Pinterest is a lifesaver.
Movies, a lot of movies and music videos, and AI mock-ups, as well as me not wanting to look like everyone else. So even since I started, I would take a look at what was trending on Instagram, and then I would go the opposite
Oh,
direction.
really?
Yes. And so I wanted it to have a feel versus a look. So the name Bohemian Visions actually stemmed from Bohemian Diva. So Bohemian Diva was my Instagram handle.
Really?
And when I was in the army and Instagram first came out, I was like, oh, what do I want to call myself? And I started doing some research. I'm a nerd. I'm a lover of history, art, music,
We're two
everything.
peas in a pod.
Yes. And so I was like, what's something that is short and sweet that kind of encompasses the fact that I moved around a lot as an army soldier, and I love art. Art is just, I mean, I've had a camera in my hand since I was 13 years old.
Really?
And so I was like going into the dictionary, and I'm like, okay, here's the things that describe who I am. And they're like Bohemian. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. And so I was researching. I was like, okay, so it's a group of people who are pretty much like they move around, they're unconventional artists, and the name derived from the country in Bohemia, and it's in Eastern Europe, but basically they were individuals who were just unconventional artists, and they moved around and they settled in Paris, and it was just all about the art. And I'm like, okay, I would take Bohemian. And they're like, well, I'm a diva. I like being a diva. And throughout the years, it has, evolved in different connotations. So that's where it stuck with Bohemian Diva. So when I was coming up with a name for the studio, unfortunately, the .com was taken, and then the handle was taken, and I was like, okay, we got to come up with something different. And so they're like, what about visions? Because you have a bohemian aesthetic and you have a vision for creativity. And that was one of the things that I have always been complimented on since I was in the Army. I am an outside the box thinker. I'm super creative. I pull inspiration from anything and everyone. I'm like, visions. Yeah, I like that. I like it. It's almost like Apple. It doesn't say photography. You don't know what it is. It's great conversation. You're very different. And so it stuck. And I remember I was just writing it on a piece of paper. I'm like, Bohemian Visions. And my friend was like, all right, make sure it's the name that you want. You got to keep saying it. You have to keep saying it. And if you get sick of it, then you got to come up with something different. I'm like, and on a piece of paper, I was like, I'm Marie, the owner of Bohemian Visions. And it just stuck.
It does sound very, very unique. When I saw it, I said, oh my gosh, either either way, it was gonna be really cool when I went to your website, because when I saw Bohemian, I was like, it's either gonna be a really beautiful boutique, and I'm gonna wanna shop there and spend all my money,
Yeah.
or it's gonna be something else totally out of the box, and I'm gonna love it.
Yeah.
And I did, I loved it. I went to your website, it's so unique. You said you're recreating your website.
I am.
So talk a little bit about your logo. There's a story behind your logo too.
Yes, yes, yes. So when I created Bohemian Visions in 2018, but then I didn't launch the full LLC until 2019. And at first, I thought I wanted to be a blogger. So I wanted to do like some photography and I wanted to do some writing. And so if you look at the logo, the V looks like a pen, a writer's pen, like the old school quill pen.
Yes.
And if you look at the base of the V, it's an inkwell.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and so I wanted to capture the fact that I wanted to be a writer because that's also a passion of mine. I'm always thinking about stuff, and I didn't want to be put into a niche or a box. I'm always writing about something. I'm always talking about something. So the V is a quill and ink pen. And if you look at the rings, it's a chain link, and then inside of the chain link, there's a series of diamonds, and inside of the diamonds, there's a maze. So the inspiration behind that was from the 2016 HBO series Westworld.
Oh.
And it was a scene out of the TV show that says, "Journey to the center of the maze." And I was like, what is the center of the maze? And I started to chew on that a little bit. And the center of the maze is enlightenment. If you look at, are you familiar with the pyramid Maslow's hierarchy?
Yes.
Okay. If you stare at the pyramid top down, the center is self-actualization, and then the outer is the basic needs. And so I wanted it to be a series of mazes where, as a human being, you're constantly trying to find your center. And your center is, who are you? Who are you when you're stripped away of your titles? Who are you when you're stripped away of your roles and positions? Who are you when you're not a mother, a lover, a girlfriend, a wife? Who are you? Instead of searching the center. The diamond is the most strongest element.
I love that. So just like the way you talk here is the way that all accredited businesses feel when they come in here and they talk about their business. And I love your passion. It shows through how much you care about your people that you do photography for, your studio. The entire vibe of all of it is so well thought out and detailed. And it just proves how much you truly care and love what you do.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we actually talk about here at Ignite is we say to each other, if the world were blind, who would you impress? And it's something that we just, as a society, don't really think about anymore, you know? But with you, with your photography, you really try to bring out somebody's inner self.
Yes.
And you can see that in your portfolio.
Yeah.
Tell me about what it is, how your interaction is with your clients.
Oh, my clients are shy.
Yeah.
They're nervous. I actually have a client tomorrow. She's so scared and nervous. That is so common for me. And they really want to break out of this shell of, okay, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm insert whatever the profession is. I just want to be me.
Yep.
I want to tap into that old self. And that's usually the most common that I see in the intake form. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel confident. I want to feel beautiful. And so I'm like, it's okay. And they'll come in and they're so scared and they're so nervous. And the studio itself is designed to evoke all sorts of fantasies, all sorts of inhibitions. It's to strip you down both emotionally, mentally, and physically to where it's you.
Yeah.
And it is to tap into your vulnerable, but it's also safe.
As I say, I feel like you bring in that safe vibe. Talking to you is very calming, very relaxing and mellow.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk to you and have a conversation and not feel any judgment or being reciprocated in any way.
Yeah, so I work with couples who want to feel passion. They want to fall in love again. It's weird, but
Wow,
I
that's
like that.
amazing
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
So for me, I have no hangups when it comes to sensuality and sexuality. And so a lot of my clients are nervous and they're scared. And then they're like, I feel so safe and I feel so comfortable with you. And that's the whole point. And that's why I work with an all-female glam team. And majority of the team that works hand in hand with the client are all female. I do have one male, and he's my studio manager, but he's one of those like, okay, I'm gonna carry your bags upstairs, and he sets up and he cleans up, but he has no interaction with the client. It's just me
That's
and the
actually
client.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, I do feel more comfortable being around females when it comes to any sort of thing that has to do with stepping outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I just think it's like, having girl power all around you when you're doing something outside your box.
Same thing. A lot of my male clients, they prefer to work with a woman because it's the vulnerability aspect of it. It's, oh, I gotta take my clothes off. Okay, but it's more than just taking your clothes off. It's you're showing me who you are. And I coach them through. It's like, what makes you feel sexy? What makes you excited? What turns you on? And so the way I'm speaking right now, that's exactly how I speak to my clients.
So it really soothes them and helps them feel like they're talking to a friend almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, they're not divulging the most intimate aspects. I tell them, think about it. I want you to think about the last time you were kissed. Think about the last time you were touched. How does that make you feel? And expressions come out.
Really?
It does, it shows. Here's the most hilarious thing, right? It's not serious in the studio. I play music and we are laughing, we are
Really?
joking, we are clowning, and we're just giggling and everything. And so one of the things that makes the client laugh is two things. It's the toes. Yeah,
And the toes.
I'm a stickler for toes. And I say, okay, we either got to do ballerina feet or we got to do Barbie feet, not arthritis feet. They were like, arthritis feet. And they're like, and then usually I'll take my pinky nail and I'm like, because one of my clients, they'll try to point, but then the pinky nail just sticks out. And then I'm like, and they're like ticklish and they'll just start laughing. And they're like, okay, okay, I'm up there. I said, it's okay. I said, okay, ballerina feet. And then they're like, they can't. And I said, okay, give me Barbie feet. And they're like, okay, don't forget the feet. And sometimes I don't catch it. And then the shot is so beautiful, but the feet is like, and then it's like, what? And they start laughing. I'm like, okay, we got to start over because I'll check. And when I tell you, I'm such a stickler for details. And so the other one is the eye to chicken.
Oh.
This was a phrase that my old boss in the army used to say, where if someone calls your name, they're like, Marie, huh? Okay, you got the eye of the chicken. And so what I'll do is I say, okay, close your eyes and I'm gonna call your name. And I want you to slowly open your eyes. And it just kind of gives it that sleepy look. Most of the time I say, Amanda, huh? And I'm like, no, you're giving me the eye of the chicken. And they start
That makes sense.
laughing.
That makes sense.
So when you're in the studio, I would say, okay, I got one assignment for you, ballerina feet or Barbie feet, but it's all about the curvature of your feet. It has to look really good
That
versus,
makes sense.
and so it's little.
My sister's a feet person too.
Yeah.
She actually doesn't like feet because she always said she's like they look weird. People always make their feet look weird. I was like, I don't get it, but that makes sense.
It
That
is.
makes a lot of sense.
It just looks very feminine and just dainty. And I've never been a foot person until I started this job.
I was gonna say, I think with you, with the details and everything that you notice about people, I can see how that would be a big like, that just ruined my picture.
Yes, yes. And so I take a lot of photos, a lot, and it's the details. Like, okay, no, this is such a good photo. And I'm like, the feet. And so I'm always looking at the feet. So it's all about the details. So when you come into the studio, you would think that it's so serious. It's not. And then when you look at the pictures, you're like, oh my God, I'm so sexy, but we were laughing. And I was like, I know. And they're like, but how'd you make me look like that? Thinking about it. I want you to think about those memories. And those memories is what evokes those facial expressions.
Having fun and doing something out of your comfort zone, I think, is the key. It takes, like you said, it takes a lot of courage for your clients to come to you and want to do something that causes a little bit of fear in them, but they do it anyways because they want to feel like themselves again.
Yes.
Or like an older version of themselves that they miss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like what was life before the kids? What was life before marriage? Even like what was life when you were dating your husband when everything was just hot and spicy? I've had clients that are like, no, I don't want to take my clothes off. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. And then towards the end of their photo shoot, they're like, is it okay if I do like a naked pose? Sure, not a problem. And so they're like, oh my God, I posed naked. I was like, yes, you did. They're like, I can't believe I did it. And I was like, you did. And so it's all about consent. I am a no until yes person.
Yeah.
So I always approach it. Sometimes my clients feel like, you don't have to ask me every single time to touch me. I was like, no, it's a tip that I picked up from a stripper. Always ask, may I touch you? May I adjust your hair? May I fix your strap? It's
Because that's still a profession too. If
Mhm.
someone's in a profession, you have to ask. There
Mhm.
still needs to be permission there.
It's elements of safety.
Mhm.
It's safety and trust. And it's always one of those, may I adjust you? Even if it's something like, let me just take your hand and bring it
Yeah.
above. It's like, may I touch you? And they're like, yes, you may. Yes, you may. Of course. Yes, you may. You don't have to keep asking me. It's such a habit now. It's putting the power and the empowerment into the client.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My mom is a Pilates instructor and she's still, I mean, she's been doing for years, but she still asks her clients, she says, can I, you know, touch your stomach? Can I show you how to do this? You know, all this movements. And it's important because some people don't like being touched.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. How was it like? What was it like you taking the steps to be an accredited business? What led you to make that decision?
I wanted to be credible.
Mhm.
I wanted everything for the customer to show that I am a reputable business, all the way down, not just having a website and a social media presence, but having third-party reputation management, having that commercial space. And the BBB was just like a no-brainer, definitely no, because it was all about trust.
Yeah.
Trust, consent, because once again, this is vulnerable. I've seen some very gnarly things out there with other photographers where I've had people mistaking me as a model. And they're like, yeah, here's my portfolio. Let's connect. And I'm like, who are you?
Really?
Yeah. And so that was why I really wanted it to be extremely important for both all of my clients. Like I've worked with trans women, non-binary women, women, couples, men, and it's the safety, it's the consent, it's the accountability. I look at it as okay, being accredited, being reputable, having multiple layers of safety to say that I'm not trying to scam you, I'm not trying to put you in a position where you're going to have a bad taste in your mouth about your experience. So that is an accountability net over me to ensure that I'm held accountable and responsible in how I properly conduct my business.
I will say, and I said this before, when you come in here as an accredited business and you let the people listening know and watching know how much you care, it shows that going through the vetting process, it's actually pretty vigorous for an accredited business. You're saying that you agree with the values of honesty, integrity, respect, and contributing to a marketplace that starts with trust, which is such a big deal for a consumer. And I feel especially in the career that you're in, being vulnerable, exposing yourself in that way is so important.
Oh, yeah.
So kudos to you.
Yeah,
Really.
definitely, because it was so much into the details. Like, not only did I not want my studio to look like everyone else's, but you could just see like a lot of attention to detail goes into it. Yes.
You really can tell just everything that you put into it is absolutely amazing. And for everybody that's watching or listening, Marie, how can they get in contact with you?
You can reach me at www.bohemianvisions.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Bohemian Visions Photography. TikTok is Bohemian Visions. Instagram and Facebook is Bohemian Visions Photography. You can find me on Google. I'm on the first page of Google. And one thing that separates me from every other luxury boudoir studio is I have a fully functional copper tub.
Oh,
If you're familiar with The Witcher, that scene where Yennefer and Geralt.
you literally have everything that's on my Pinterest page.
I have that tub and I have an extra large shower for couples. Yes.
If you guys don't take her up on that offer, I don't know what you're sitting around doing.
Every client that has been in that tub, they're like, oh my God, I feel like a child just swimming in it. It's huge. It's huge.
That Tub is amazing. It's literally my dream tub.
I wanted couples to be in the tub comfortably.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten in it, and then I've had like some of my larger clients are like, I have so much room. Even my tall clients that are over 6 feet, they're like, I'm completely submerged.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Marie, thank you so much for coming in,
So
taking the time to come here and talk to me and talk to everybody here. Really, anybody watching or listening, please reach out to Marie. I think I have a very strong feeling that it'll be a wonderful experience for you to step out of your shell and do something like this and kind of reconnect with yourself again on a different level. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. It really helps out the algorithm. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and do the exact same thing and share the love. Thank you.
Thank you so much.